The other big story we're following tonight, a desperate effort to find a woman buried by a landslide at Fort Funston. She and a friend were walking near the cliffs yesterday when a 75-foot wall of earth gave way above them. The friend was able to dig herself out along with a dog. But KPIX 5's Da Lin reports there is still no sign of the woman. Da.
Juliet, National Park Service police say the missing woman is either still buried at the base of the cliff or her body could have been washed out into the ocean. I'll explain that in a little bit. First, I want to show you this landscape here. This is the access, the trail down to the beach. Police have since shut down this trail. You see where that officer is standing right there? Well, they say that's where a chunk of that cliff collapsed down to the two women walking their dog on the beach. A U.S. Coast Guard helicopter hovered over the landslide this afternoon, looking for any signs of a missing woman.
Half to two-thirds of the sandy material had been washed away by the natural actions of those high tides.
National Park officials say high tide came in around 2:30 this morning. They say the waves could have washed the body out into the ocean. They're not sure, since there are still tons and tons of sand. When it was safe, recovery crews spent the day using tractors to remove more sand. But so far, no signs of a woman who was buried by the collapsed cliff.
Very, very sad, yeah. Very unfortunate. I'm sad for her parents.
Varda Valensky saw first responders bring this woman up from the beach. She survived the landslide.
They wrapped her in a blanket to keep her warm.
It happened yesterday afternoon. Authorities say two women in their mid-20s were walking their dog on the beach when parts of a 200-foot cliff fell down.
One woman was buried up to her shoulders and was pulled out by bystanders.
Firefighters used shovels and hands to remove the sand to search for her missing friend.
Collapses like this are rare.
While coastal erosion and slides happen often at Fort Funston, they can't recall the last time a cliff fell on beachgoers down below. The area is extremely popular among dog owners, hang gliders, and even yogis.
I don't trust the cliffs. I don't go near the cliffs.
What a terrible thing to happen, you know. That's why for years I avoid going in that area right there.
Aside from the woman who was rescued by bystanders, the dog was also able to run away from that landslide. As for the missing woman, authorities have not released her name. They're trying to give her family some privacy, and at this point, their focus is on finding her body. Juliet.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking. Is the National Park Service going to do more inspections to hopefully prevent landslides like this one from happening again?
Right, that's a good question because, you know, they do say that these things do happen, but the fact that someone was trapped underneath, they say that's extremely unusual. They also have these signs right here, a lot of signs all over Fort Funston saying unstable cliffs to warn people. But a lot of folks just often overlook that, but they're telling folks to, hey, just use some common sense. So at this point, they're saying they're not going to do any inspections just because this kind of incident is extremely rare.
All right, take note of the signs. All right, Da Lin, thank you.
As for what triggered all of that, it's just geology, a combination of weather and the fact that those are very friable cliffs. They're very crumbly. That's what triggered it. The recent rains had saturated the ground, weakened the soil, and another important factor, the cliffs really aren't much more than hardened sand. Plus, the San Andreas Fault slices those cliffs just a few miles south.
All up and down the coast from Pacifica to Daly City is made up of the Merced Foundation. The cliffs are made of this young rock, and that's very susceptible to failure and landsliding. So this is a known problem.
I mean, there have been entire neighborhoods in Daly City along the cliffs where the houses ended up at the bottom of them because it's all unstable, and that was all developed back in the early 1960s. Cliffs along that part of the shoreline have failed regularly over the decades. Here's a little bit more perspective on that scope of the slide. On the left, a Google satellite image of how the stretch of coastline used to look. And on the right is a frame grab from Chopper 5 yesterday after the wall of sand gave way.